All right, guys, today is the day we are going to be getting the engine and transmission back into Project HellStang. So we ended up taking out this engine and transmission. I think the last video update on that was like December 30th, 2022. So it's been about 3 months. So 3 months has gone by. We ended up basically completely tearing apart the stock engine down to the short block. We cleaned the motor, we painted it, we put on Pro Comp aluminum heads, Anderson cam, studded the whole thing, a whole bunch of different things that we've done to this, new oil pan, blah, blah, blah. And so now we're finally ready to stick this thing back into the car. So I'm super stoked. Stay tuned. So since we've already had this motor in and out last weekend, a couple times trying to get this thing mocked up and welded, I'm thinking we should be able to get this bad boy from right about now to have this thing bolted in, engine mounts bolted in, trans mount bolted in, 30 minutes. We should have this baby in there and done. So that's what I'm hoping, because this is really all we got to do today. Just get this in, get this done, and then from there on out, it's just a bunch of small little things that I can do, whenever I have some extra free time, and I won't really need, an extra set of hands to help. So let's see. All right, so I would say maybe that took us, 10 minutes or something? So we decided to try the entry from the side, and that worked. We just had to get it, high as hell, get it in there, put the jack under the trans, get that up, and then boom, we were able to slide. We got them in there, and now we just got to bolt them down. Got to get the trans mount all put in, but that all worked. There she is. Finally back home. All kinds of upgrades. All right, so it only took like 10 minutes to get the engine dropped in. Probably took another 10, 15 minutes just to get like the stupid engine mount bolts tightened up, got the transmission done, all that good stuff. So we went ahead, we swapped in the new oil filter, got these all tightened, like I said. What a pain in the butt, especially this driver's side. There's just not enough room for a socket, so I had to use like a 7/8 wrench to manually tighten that bolt all the way. We got the clutch cable all installed back on the trans, the little covers put back on. I got the couple bottom bolts for like the flex plate deal, all that's done. So I think next I might throw the starter on, just because we can bolt that on. And there's not a whole lot more because I'm still waiting on my harness from MF Customs so that we can start to kind of connect all that back. And then I guess we could start actually hooking up the Holly, but probably won't do that today. So today we might just screw around, do a couple little easy things, and then maybe even we'll mock up the Holly high ram and the valve covers, just kind of get an idea what this thing's going to look like and to see if we have any chance in hell of having that Holly high ram clear. All right, we got the starter bolted on, so that was pretty easy peasy. Now we're trying to figure out what the heck, what should we do next, Pops?
Do your brackets, can't you?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I think so. Maybe we'll start bolting on some brackets. I don't know. Front accessories. I don't have all the wiring yet, but I imagine we could really start to just put this crap all back together, man. There's so much room now. Look at this. Love it. Getting a tubular K-member is freaking awesome. Still not a lot of room on this side, but better than it was. I got this power steering line back in too, so that's good. All right, so we got the front brackets on. Those things are looking pretty sweet. Put the pulleys back on here. What else did we do? We ended up, we cranked the motor over, had the spark plug out. So we did get this thing to compression stroke for number 1 cylinder, and then that's our 50 degrees before top dead center. So later on, once we get manifold on, then we can drop the dual sync back in. So now we're just we're trying to like visualize this whole shit and be like, okay, what should we put on, like in what order, to make sure, nothing's crazy, because I know putting these exhaust manifold, the turbo headers, is going to be a big pain in the ass. So I know that's got to be like kind of the last one. All right, dudes, we just had to sit the freaking high ram on there just to see it. Look at how sick this thing is. Let me just tell you, 1,000,000%. There's no way this thing is going to fit. Now, my hood is like a 3.5 inch cowl hood, but the well, yeah, but remember you got the, right. But you know, that's the biggest part with the biggest cowl, but I think this is the portion everyone has problems with on these, right? So if we go fender to fender, look at that. We got to be at least 5-6 inches. So I'll probably end up cutting the hood. We'll cut some kind of relief hole. Might have to get the hood rewrapped or something with the American flag deal, but we'll see. But it's going to look so sick. I'm going to go try to throw the valve covers on too. All right, so one thing I wanted to show you guys, because this is pretty important for guys who have SN95s. They're going to be running a turbo setup. Well, I guess only if you're keeping power steering or whatever, because our factory brackets come down and tuck like right here against this, right? So there's barely enough room for this thing to even fit and get your sensor on. But basically what I bought for my turbo setup is we just got this little short aluminum or brass thing or whatever. So it's got the what is this, 1/4 inch MPT, and then it's got 1/8 inch MPT, and then this is the 1/4 inch for the stock sensor to go in, right? So that works out perfect, and then this is 1/8 inch, so I've got an 1/8 inch to 3AN line that'll shoot straight up to go to the turbo, but then before that, actually, I've got a like 3AN to like 3AN adapter that has another 1/8 inch MPT, and that's where the Holley sensor will go. So basically, this dude here will thread in now. Actually, I could probably even go ahead and put it on there. So this dude will thread in, right? Okay. Now we still need to put the Holley sensor, right? So that's where I ended up buying this one, but it's the wrong one. But you can see how this dude has the 1/8 inch hole, right? So this will just thread onto that 3AN. This will be also 3AN, and then boom, we have an 1/8 inch spot here for our gauge. So that's what we need to use. But that's what I figured for this SN95. This is like the best option, right, that fits. Because the old Fox body ones, man, they go out to like here, and there's no way it'll fit because your bracket, let me show you the bracket real quick. All right, so with the bracket on, check out the clearance. I mean, there is barely, you know, I got 1/8 inch or so. So I'm hoping that that's even just enough room to be able to get the connector onto the end of that sensor. But otherwise, the way this is pointing and stuff, this is all, you know, looks pretty dang good, right? I'll be able to get this on. Looks pretty sweet. All right, so screwing around some more, we stuck on the valve cover. So again, there's just all the stuff's just sitting on there. We just, you know, we're just checking it out. So we did take off the factory fuel lines. So we got our 5/16 and 1/4 inch lines. So now I can start to probably mess around putting on some of the AN fittings and stuff. But here's the stock lines. We're just trying to figure out easy stuff to keep doing, you know? All right, tightened up. So I think those are good to go. I'll put some tape on them for now, but that'll be one of the next things we need to do is start making the actual AN lines. So I've already got whole kits and all kinds of stuff, and we got -10 lines for like the oil catch can stuff. That's all got to get figured out. Battery bracket, so we're just going to keep rocking on. All right, so next thing we're doing, just screwing around, is we're going to measure and we're cutting the PTFE line, the AN line for this kind of little crossover here. So my plan with my fuel system is we're going to have the line from the tank. It's going to go right here into the rail, feed across to the other rail, and then on the back side is where we'll have the fuel pressure regulator, and then the return line 1/4 inch back to the tank. So that's how we're going to do it. So this ended up being about 8 inches, and I haven't cut AN line in probably 10 years since we did the Solstice turbo setup. But anyway, so this is the OEM piece that's already cut, you know, from the factory, and then I just took some duct tape, a little strip of it, and then we're just going to take our cutoff wheel, cut this bad boy, and then you just assemble the ends, pop these little ferrule nuts through, connect it in, easy peasy. So these PTFE lines, because they got like plastic inside of it, yeah, like check it out. Versus like the old school AN lines that I've done in the past where it's just like, these are a little bit different. They have like a little ferrule. All right, now we got this baby all assembled, and we're about to go try it on the car and see if this baby actually works. All right, the crossover is a wrap. It fits perfect. All right, now we're moving on to installing the fuel injector. So I don't know if I ever showed you guys these. I bought these quite a while ago, but I got these off Amazon. And what they are is they are a Deca knockoff, right? So they're 80-pound-hour injectors, but these bad boys were super cheap. I think they were $80 or maybe even less than 80 bucks. So, I've heard some guys have had issues, some guys, they've had no problem. So I'm going to give it a shot. For 80 bucks, I figure it's worthwhile before spending, $300 plus on some injectors. Even if they're not rated quite at 80 pounds, even if they're less, it's still overkill for what I'm shooting for, which is only, somewhere between 400, maybe 500 horsepower at the most. And before we went and installed these for the last time, I did want to double check that they do fit with the Holley Ford Terminator kit, and they do. All right, injectors are all installed. That was super easy, but I did buy this Holley high ram used, and so I've never taken the top off of it. And what's under here is like a gasket. And so I want to make sure that gasket is in fact there, make sure it's installed correctly, all that good stuff. So we got all the top bolts off, and then there's just 2 bolts on the underside that we got to get off, and then we'll have access. But these things also take a weird 12-point quarter-inch. All right, good news. We do have a gasket. Now, when you get this thing brand new, Holley just gives you like this gasket, and then you've got to kind of install it, cut it to length, and then where it mates up, you can actually put some RTV silicone or something if you want. On this particular one, it's all together, it's smushed together really well, so I don't think I'm going to put anything on it. When I first pulled it off, there was a little bit of a gap, like from the previous guy who had installed it, so we just kind of pulled it back up, stretched it a little bit, and then we were able to get it all together. So it should be good to go. We're going to put it back together. All right, so we've been messing around some more. We're playing around. So this is a battery box. I don't think I showed you guys this yet. Bought this thing off Amazon. It was like 20 bucks because my factory battery box, or the factory little battery tray thing, was all broken, just like they always break right here. So that thing was all screwed up. I was having trouble to locate a stock replacement, and this thing was like literally like $24 shipped for this steel thing. So we're just working on kind of making like an aluminum removable bracket. So we're just going to utilize some of the factory bowl holes, blah, blah, blah. And then all this crap's still just sitting on here, except now we have injectors in. So that's cool. I sat the turbo here. It's literally just sitting on the frame rail. But it's going to be something like that. It's going to be looking sick. I also put the car actually down, so it's literally sitting on the ground, just on these rollers. So we still do have a ton of gap, on the front here. So we will definitely need to adjust the coilovers down, all that stuff. That'll be another project because I will need to do that, plus tighten up the front suspension, all that crap. But look at this thing, dude. High ram is just freaking huge, man. It's hilarious. The next thing we need to do is I got back these turbo headers from the powder coat guys, and it ended up ultimately being too expensive for me to have those guys go ahead and they were going to actually do like a ceramic coating, but they wanted like, I don't know, a couple $100 or something. I just didn't have the budget for it. So I got to looking around. I did have them sandblast them, so they're nice and clean, sandblasted, but I went and decided to go with some Rust-Oleum ceramic coating. So I picked this stuff up, and it's whatever, 10 bucks a can, right? So I'm going to blast it with some silver, and then also I'm using their primer as well, just to make sure we get some good adhesion on this bad boy. And when I spray it, I'm going to make sure I spray it, on the inside as well, because it's supposed to be really important that you want to have this coating, on the inside and also the outside. All right, and here they are after the first coat of primer. So I think I had about half a can, maybe a little bit less than a half a can left of this primer. But you can also see how it wasn't coming through the nozzle very good, kind of leaking out. This also happened later with the top coat as well. So, never clogged or anything like that. It was just kind of annoying getting it on my hand. But anyway, I ended up doing 2 coats of the primer, and then we moved on to the top coat. All right, and here's the final product. Sorry, the video is sideways, but we got 2 coats of the silver coating on there, so looks really, really good. I sprayed this stuff super wet, and it just dried really, really fast, so we didn't have any runs or any problems. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this one. It's kind of a Sunday fun day. We got the engine back in. Freaking awesome. Now there's just a whole bunch of small little things to start on. Once the wiring comes in, we start putting that all on, start getting the Holley on. So I want to finish a few more of the mechanical things like the front fuel system, probably the oil lines, just get a lot of that stuff done, figured out where it's going to go, and then we can start laying in the Terminator harness and all that stuff. So like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you guys on the next one.